What's going on, guys? It's your boy Burr Oaks 77 coming to you live with Josh for a Tipsy Tuesday college hoop slate. We got 31 games going tonight, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, I know Josh is on the West Coast, so you guys can do the math from there. Eastern is what they put them on, where I look for tip times, so that's what you're going to get. We're going to jump right into the record. We had a very nice morning on Saturday. We didn't even get into the late games because the slate was so big. Started out with a nice UNC money line win. We talked about that at plus 120. That kept walking out. If you took the plus 3.5, you cashed. If you took the money line when it closed, you got a little extra money there. Either way, we hit that. So UNC definitely better than Clemson.
Definitely. That was a nice way to start it, man. Like, I was like, this doesn't happen. I tweeted that out. I was like, you don't win your first bunch of bets when you start putting them on a new place, or you start, initiating something. Like when you started the Discord, that first week when I started the YouTube channel in general was like 2-7 to start, and it's like, of course this is how it works. But then you overcome it, man, and you're riding hot. So let's stay with it.
Yeah, then we had Kentucky go down and play a sweaty one in the swamp. We knew it was going to be a sweaty one. The line was tight. This one, again, walked out to plus 3.5. So if you grabbed it again there, that's still good. We got plus 104 on the money line. And yeah, Kentucky won. It did get sweaty. Florida had the ball down 3, chucked up a 3, banged off the rim. Kentucky walked it off. So we take those. Georgia, Missouri. Wow, talk about a sweat. That first half had me rethinking whether or not I wanted to make college basketball picks for a living. They came out and dropped 81 there in the first half down in Mizzou, and then they just started bricking, kind of like I thought they would. So second half didn't have nearly as many baskets, and we cleared our under. That cleared the 145 we talked about. That drifted all the way up to 149.5. So that cleared pretty comfortably with a 143 total. Kalkbrenner, I told you guys, nobody down there to stop him. He didn't have as many offensive boards and putbacks as I thought he would. 5 for 5 from the stripe for a dude at 7'1" is impressive. Kalkbrenner goes over his 15.5 points, ends with 22, goes over his 7.5 rebounds, ends with 12. If anybody laddered those, I know for Discord, we did an over 15.5, over 8 boards parlay, and then we sprinkled the 2010 just a little bit at 730 at plus 733. So that was a nice hit. And then Creighton failed to cover the spread. I always do get worried on these bigger numbers. I told you guys I really liked that as part of a teaser as well. So if you used it in a teaser, it got home. Creighton ended up winning by 9. They were in control. They were up 14. They let their foot off the gas a little bit. Providence worked their way back into it. I want to say they cut the lead to like 6 or 4, and then Creighton just kind of took back over. So that's the loss we'll take there. And hey, we take 5-1. That's a really nice way to start for the first Saturday show, and that is plus 2.12 units. Again, I'm just going to remind you guys, I risk half a unit on plus 100 or better, and to return half a unit on minus 101 or shorter odds, just because I'm a higher volume bettor, especially when it comes to those large Saturday college basketball slates. Yesterday, I started the day well. It was a skinny slate on a Sunday. We went 1-1. I took Minnesota at home to cover. I took them on the money line. It was only minus 120, so didn't want to mess with the points. Minnesota's quietly 14-1 against the spread this season, so keep an eye on the Golden Gophers. Then I lost on Sparty because if you can figure out Michigan State before tournament time, God bless you. But that's a tough team to figure out, and so is that Northwestern squad up in Evanston that they played. I don't have a lot of respect for Northwestern, but hey, Boo Booey just seems to have Tom Izzo's number. And Boo Booey's been wrecking Michigan State for a couple of years in college. That takes us to 15-10 plus 1.62 units overall in 2024. That gives us a 71-1-54 record plus 6.01 units on the season. And yeah, we'll check out the slate, and I'm going to kick it over to Josh to set us up.
Yeah, man, great start, bro. Really happy to have you winning some money for people, and I love the plays because in the NBA, I am being a little bit more hyper specific, if you will, or a little bit more poignant with some of the plays and putting a few more units on some bets and making fewer bets, and there's fewer games on the slate, and so it's still there's still a bit of spreadsheet betting going on at my point, although obviously there is a bit more in the NBA opportunity to know more players because there's fewer of them and all that. Right. But really solid start, bro. 5-1, awesome, and we'll get into it here now. Richmond, we've got them at Loyola Chicago, 8 p.m. Eastern, and on ESPN Plus, 5 p.m. for those of you on the West Coast. In a matchup, Oaks, that I'll toss it to you to see where you're at with it. We've got Richmond +3 on the screen for you guys, so I know where you're going. But correct me if I'm wrong. It's basically just who's going to lose it less to the other team, essentially, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So Richmond defends really hard, and they play good team ball and especially team defense. They're super tough on the perimeter. They're one of the, I don't want to say top, but they're one of the better teams. They're in the top quarter, so top 25% at defending the perimeter and preventing people from hitting threes over them. Richmond works the glass really well and prevents second chance buckets. Loyola does struggle on the glass, and Richmond's just going to be better than them at both ends of the floor here. Free throws, both teams absolutely suck. They're in the bottom 250 in the country. Richmond sucks less at the free throw line, but they defend the paint super well. They're they're in the top 100 at not putting opposing teams at the free throw line. Not that it particularly matters here because Loyola's below the top 300. There's I think there's 363 teams in D1, but yeah, Loyola is very, very poor at the charity stripe, which is always tough, and it's really, really tough to get a cover, especially a skinny -3 cover. And I think Richmond's just the better team. This conference is tough, top to bottom. I think Richmond's playing really good basketball. I think they have they've had some tough matchups here. They haven't been outstanding on the road, but I have this one as Richmond projecting to win by about a bucket, maybe 2 outright here on the road. So if you're going to give me 3 points, I don't trust Loyola at home in their building. Yes, I know Sister Jean and all of that comes with it. But listen, Loyola kids aren't showing up and going to these games like they were when they went to the Final Four. Richmond's just all around a better basketball team. So give me the better team, even though they're on the road, and I'm taking the points.
Sorry, SJ. I was going to bring up Sister Jean myself, but you beat me to it. So no, I'm with you on that one. Even if they are at home, she's still just thriving, man. Good for her. But I get where you're at here too, right? The glass free throws, it's going to be pretty consistent theme, I would believe, here in college hoops as we move on. So let's go to a slightly better game, with a few better teams, I would say, right? With Houston and Iowa State. We are in the beautiful town of Ames in Iowa. And we're taking Houston here. We got -3.5 for them on the road, 7 p.m. on the East Coast there. ESPN 2 is where you can find that one. And it's tough to bet against the Cougars team. You get them at a pretty nice number here with looking like one of the best teams in the country coming out against Iowa State, who maybe there's some opportunity for some positive regression in ways for Iowa State, but I would still be able to ride with the Cougs in this one. Yeah, and
it's a little tough. So most of the time, I'm a big dogs guy. I like to bet a lot of dogs. You saw in our first video, we took 2 moneyline road dogs that ended up covering. And we're going with a lot of favorites here, even on the road. Listen, Houston is a very good team. You want to talk about defense? This is the best defense in the country. But Houston just this season made the switch to Big 12 from the AAC. This ain't AAC ball. I'm interested to see if Houston can have the same kind of record and have the same kind of performance when you have to play this absolute gauntlet of a Big 12 schedule. This will be a good first test because any college basketball fan knows that Ames, Iowa is an incredibly difficult building to go play in. The Cyclones fans are crazy. They get out there, they show support. And Iowa State is a pretty good team, if we're being honest. The thing that I don't like about them is they don't make free throws. And if you get in a hole against a team like Houston, who defends viciously, runs rotations, has enough guys that are better than you, it's going to be really difficult to dig yourself out of any sort of hole, especially if you can't make points from the charity stripe. That said, Houston is straight up ass from the charity stripe. And that's not a concern for me as much in this game as it is come tournament time. That's the reason Houston's been bounced out of the last 2 tournaments. It's going to be the reason they get bounced out of this tournament. I don't like Houston to win the tournament because of their inability to knock down their free throws. And I actually have a couple of futures out. I took Kansas over Houston to win the Big 12. I was surprised Houston was a favorite. I know they're 13-0 right now. I got it at plus 280. If you can still find that, I think it's a very good bet because Kansas is a wagon and they know what they're doing. They know how to close tight games, as we saw over the weekend against TCU, where they almost lost outright and ended up winning that game. TCU covered the plus 9.5 that I gave out, so I was happy about that. But anyway, Houston, this is a tale of scoring versus defense. Iowa State has a very good offense. They absolutely pour buckets in. Like I said, they struggle a little bit from the free throw line, but Houston they're unreal at defense. They're the best defensive unit in the country. Give me the defense on the road in Ames, even though the student section is going to be popping. I like Houston here. I'm comfortable leaving the minus 3.5. I would start having hesitations if you see this walking out towards, I think minus 6 is a stretch. And I would probably play minus 5.5 or minus 6 because you're getting the push there. But anything over 2 full possessions in a conference road game, I'm not going to take.
Yeah, I'm with that. What do you make of in quick sentence, 132.5 or so at the total there with such a defensive battle, but still too low for an under? What do you think?
If you're going to play an under, I would play Iowa State's team total under. Because if Houston's feeling themselves, especially if they're going to work in the paint and they're slamming home and playing in transition, they can run the score up. I don't see Iowa State. If the game is close, it's going to be because Houston's not scoring. And I'm just more comfortable taking the Iowa State team total under there than I am taking the full game under.
Yep, I'm with it. Yeah, I'm a big team total guy. Let's get to bet 3. With Wake here dominating right now. We've got them at FSU, another road game for a favorite here. 7 p.m. on the East Coast there on the ACC network here. A couple of ACC squads as we roll on with the conference play. Talk to me about like what Florida State would have to do essentially to win or pull this one out or even cover.
Florida State would have to be a different team. If you guys don't know, I went to NIU. I was there for the Jordan Lynch era. I went to the Orange Bowl when NIU was playing Florida State, and it's fuck Florida State from now until forever. But this isn't just my bias showing. Wake Forest is quietly 11-3 this season, and they've had some absolutely massive wins. They're coming off a very nice 4-point win over Miami. I ended up on Miami plus 4.5. That line was sitting at 4 kind of all afternoon. Then we got some injury news. It drifted up to plus 5, then settled at 4.5. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Wake wins by 4. Technically, that's not a cover, but if you took it early, it's a push. Doesn't matter. They beat a very tough Miami team who has absolutely outstanding guard play. Probably top 10, top 15 in the country at guard play. You've seen them make deep tournament runs. Nigel Pack is the absolute truth. I love that kid on Miami. He can shoot from anywhere. And Wake it was a shootout. They were able to run with Miami, which is really hard to do. They can change gears. They can slow it down. This team is top 15 in the country at free throws, and that's what matters here because Florida State is not very good at free throws. FSU wants to run and push the tempo, where if it's up to Wake, they prefer to slow it down. They can control the ball, control the clock, work longer possessions. But like I said, they were able to absolutely run the floor with Miami. I don't think that the rest is going to be too much of an issue. Wake's a very good and well-coached team. They should be able to turn it around here. And like I said, free throws are where tight games are won and lost, and I'm going to back the team that's just way, way better at free throws than Florida State is. So the last thing I'll say is Wake Forest plays at all three levels well on offense and defense. That's behind the arc, mid-range, and in the point. Their weakest, I guess their biggest vulnerability would be in the paint, which is a little bit of a mismatch because Florida does like to work the paint. They have two really tall forwards down there that can get vertical and slam stuff home. But listen, Florida State's just not very good. They lost as double-digit favorites to Lipscomb at home. They're 8-6, and they're not even that much better at home. So even if the student section is jumping, which I don't think it will be, your football team got snubbed from the college football playoff, rightfully so, and you're not playing very good basketball. In this ACC rivalry game, I'll take the Demon Deacons on the road, -2.5. I would play this at -3. I have some hesitations giving up that full possession at -3.5.
Yep, I'm with that. Would be 10 in a row for the Demon Deacons if they can pull this one out. So yeah, they're on a tear right now despite missing a few key guys. I still like them on the road with it. So I'm with you on that one. Let's get to best bet number 4 that we've got here, and we're talking KSU in West Virginia there against the Nears. So we got a 7 p.m. start. ESPN Plus is where you're going to find that one. And yeah, basically, I think we're looking at another pretty solid defensive matchup, right?
Yeah. Listen, West Va's gotten a little bit better recently. I think they're coming off 3 or 4 overs in a row. And they've been shooting the ball just a tad bit better. But listen, this West Virginia team is not Bobby Huggins, West Virginia. This isn't the Morgantown that's absolutely electric. You got Bobby Huggins, one of the best coaches in the game, on the bench. He unfortunately was dismissed at the beginning of the season due to a DUI. Whatever. I hope to see Bobby back coaching soon in a talented squad like this West Virginia team was supposed to be. Unfortunately, they had some guys immediately hit the transfer portal when Bobby was dismissed, and that's to be understood. And listen, they're just having a tough season. It's a team that's missing direction because you lost your coach. Kansas State is a very good team. They have one of the toughest buildings in the country to play in. They play a very tough schedule, and they play defense, and they play defense hard. And both teams play very good defense. Neither team gives up very many free throw attempts, which is the best way. Draw contact underneath the basket, get your and ones. Both of these teams stay very vertical and defend well. They're both not good at hitting the 3 ball. They absolutely chuck up shots all game long. These are some of the high, these guys, both of these teams take some of the highest amount of field goals a game, but they have very low field goal shooting percentages, and that doubles down and gets even worse when it comes to 3 balls. The records here, Kansas State they are 8 unders in a row, and they're 7-1 on the money line on those unders. I do like Kansas State in Morgantown. I have a small lean on that. I like them. I think it was -3, but I saw this total at 140, 139.5 on domestics, and I just know this is going to start drifting up towards the 143, 144-ish neighborhood, and I'm happy taking this at anything that gets close to 142. I think 140 is going to be tough to break for these teams. I have this projecting is a Kansas State just shy of 70 and a West Va somewhere in the 65 neighborhood. So I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think it's going to be a tight game, and that's why we're going to take the under here. One thing I will say is if you bet unders and you're worried about overtime, sometimes it's nice to just take a little 0.1, little 0.05 unit sprinkle and just throw it on the game to go to overtime. You can usually get about 15 or 20 to 1 on that. Yeah. So that's just a nice little insurance policy if you think the game really is going to be that tight. And we might see some overtime. I still think this is going to be a low-scoring game, even if it goes to overtime. I had a game earlier this season that I cashed an under on in triple overtime, because in college basketball, you're really looking at 8 to 9 points per team in overtime. They tend to slow the ball way down. They use the entire 35 seconds of the shot clock, and a lot of times guys are just looking for 3 free throws. So I like the under here, and I just figured I'd mention that little bit of insurance policy.
Yeah, I love that, and also love the the constant like unders. Like the games tend to get bet over, right? So if you are taking an under and you are seeing this, we're getting this out nice and early too, right, on Monday, well ahead of the slate there for Tuesday. So it is going to be a situation where people probably have time to see if they can hit it, and if it goes up a bit, can hit it again, and keep getting a bit more after people bet it up, like you said. So let's get to our final best bet here as we head out west, man. We got Colorado State, and we are in Boise State. Colorado State is favored in this one, -1.5. Another road dog. We got a little bit of a theme going here. 9 p.m. on the no broadcast though. So if you are able to find out to get out to Idaho, maybe you can watch this one live. But either way, I think we've probably got a decent matchup. Colorado State is the ranked team here. Is it fair that they're -1.5? Like how off do you find that line really?
Yeah, I mean, I think this line's definitely a little bit off. I think this is a knee-jerk reaction from Colorado State losing away at Utah State as road favorites. But for those of you in the know, Logan in Utah State is probably top 10 hardest buildings in the country. Utah State, I want to say they're still undefeated from the 21-22 season in their own building. But yeah, for those of you in the know who keep up with Mountain West Conference, I do. I love the Mountain West Conference because I rank a ton of these teams super high. Your SDSUs, your Colorado States, your Colorados, your Utah States. This team put 1 auto bid and like 3 at-large bids into the tournament last year, and they've been getting snubbed for a couple of years. Boise State made the tournament last year. Colorado State didn't, but they're having a very good season this year. They were right on the cusp. They've been on the bubble the last couple of years, but the Mountain West Conference is absolutely savage. If you guys are big college basketball heads, I also like to take Mountain West overs late at night because they tend to tip around 10 or 11 p.m. I've normally had a couple of drinks in me, and I'll be watching the game live, and I'm like, yo, there's points in this game, so let's take it over. But this conference needs a TV deal. They are begging for a TV deal because they play absolutely elite basketball out there. It's a really hot spot for upperclassmen transfers because why not? You get to go live in the mountains. You got your NIL stuff now. This is gorgeous place to live. Great country, great part of the country, great community. It's a really nice place to travel to and to be around summer, winter, and fall. So you get a lot of upper class transfers. I think Colorado State bounces back here and sends a statement. This Boise State team is good defensively. They play super slow, and their problem is they don't make their free throws. So you can't be a team that wants to control the ball, control the pace, and play slow and maximize time of possession if you're not finishing with buckets and getting to the free throw line and making your free throws. Colorado State can finish at the line. They're much better at their free throws. They know how to close tight games. This is just the better program with better athletes at all 5 spots on the floor. Give me the Rams here in a game. I think that the number's just a little bit too knee-jerk reaction off of that loss at Utah State.
Bet. I'm with it. Yeah. Let's run through all these bets.
Yeah, so just to recap, we're taking Richmond +3 at Loyola Chicago. If you're feeling a little ballsy, wait to see what happens with this line. I'm comfortable with throwing a light sprinkle on the money line there. I do think Richmond can win outright. Houston at Iowa State, we're taking them -3.5. You don't have to pay very much juice on this right now over on FanDuel. This is one. I think this line's going to move against us. I think Houston, as the favorite, is going to take a lot of action here. I can see -4, -4.5 happening pretty easily, which I'm comfortable taking there. Anything that gets up towards the -5.5, -6 area, that's where I'm starting to back off Houston a little bit, just because this building will be so tough to play in. Wake Forest at FSU, Wake Forest -2.5. I'm fine with that. -110 on Caesars. I'm fine with a -3 even for the push. It's the -3.5. I don't like coughing up a full possession when I know that if I bet it at a different time, I can get under one possession, because a 3-ball, it is so important, because in college basketball, I know some teams don't do it, but listen to me, guys. The number one rule in college basketball is if you are ahead and there's less time in the game than there is for the shot clock, you always foul up 3, because you cannot make 3 points from the free throw line if it's not a shooting foul. Always foul up 3. So yeah, that's why a full possession is so important there, and I'm comfortable with Wake covering the -2.5, but get a little iffy on -3.5. Kansas State at WVA. Listen, Morgantown, I think you'll have a great game on your hands. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of points there. We'll take the under 39 at -105. But like I said, CBB over-unders typically drift higher, closer to tip. So this one is, I think, a perfect opportunity to sit and wait and see what happens tomorrow. And finally, we're closing it out, 9 p.m., with Colorado State over Boise State. Colorado State's going to get a nice bounce back here. They just played a very, very tough road game at Utah State, one of the toughest buildings in the country to play. Rams get right and take this one outright and cover the -1.5.
Hell yeah, man. Good stuff, bro. Maybe another little 4-1 to
yeah, that would be nice. I mean, I'm not going to get greedy. I'm not going to, I'm already calling my shots by making the picks and putting this video up. So I'm not going to predict a record here, but
no doubt.
Yeah. Also, I just want to mention, be sure to check out Twitter, and I'm going to get something over to Josh. I know he has a way to share it on YouTube. I do a lean sheet on all of these big college basketball slates, because there's 5 or 6 games I really like that I didn't get a chance to talk about. And the reason actually that Richmond versus Loyola is on there first and not in chronological tip time order like everything else is because I was taking Seton Hall -4.5 versus Georgetown while I was making this, and then by the time I got done making my slide and talking to Josh, the line was already all the way out to -6.5 and -6 at some shops, which is a number I wasn't super comfortable giving you guys. So I have other leans that aren't as strong that I don't put in the videos, but hey, if you like college ball, I have plenty of content for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we got to send people to the Discord. We're going to have that in the description as well. And that's, a great place to I would push you too, dude. I hope you definitely throw the picks like those, like Seton Hall. Like if you're like making a video and you're like, I don't know, I got to get this one up. The Discord's the place for that, right? Like you get a little bit of extra, love from your bets because you're there, like up to date, have those notifications on the Discord and all that. But to your point, yeah, we're going to put this on the lean sheets on the community tab on the channel. So if you are following along and you want a few more bets from Oaks, right there, those are the leans, the other games that he's looking at. But check all those out. And yeah, we're gonna be doing this the Tuesday slate and the Saturday slates. We're gonna be getting these videos up as early as possible for all of those moving forward, man. So definitely check out the college basketball playlist on this channel.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me, or appreciate Josh having me. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. That's all I got. That's Talking Hoops with Oaks. So we out.